Hi everyone. Good evening. Am I audible
Good e-
too?
Yes, sir. Good morning. Good evening, sir.
Good evening,
Good
sir.
evening. Good
Good
evening,
evening, sir.
Ankit.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
How are you guys?
Sir, very good,
Good
sir.
evening, sir.
Very good, sir.
Fit as a
Very good,
fiddle.
sir.
Very, very nice. So, how has been your last 2-3 months in this lockdown? What did you guys do? Like till the presentation gets set up, we'll just talk about the last 2-3 months. How did you guys spend those months? And what did you do?
Uh, Actually, we did nothing except staying in the home.
That do is a nice thing to do right now.
Yes,
Same.
sir. So,
So,
what you were doing, sir?
I was doing my office work, then I was learning something, read a few books, then I was trying to build some new skills, website development, and then regarding my job related skills, financial skills, that's pretty much. And I like gaming too, so I played a lot of video games also.
Yes, sir. I'm also a big fan of gaming.
Oh, which games do you play?
I was playing Operation Flashpoint. It was released in 2009. It was just a old game, but really
Really?
awesome game. Military tactical game.
Oh, really nice. So the PPT has been set up. Can you guys see the PPT?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And I'm audible to you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I'll start with why I chose career development and why it is at this point of stage. Okay, so we'll discuss the five why questions. Why we should like learn about this topic. Why career development? Why not personality development? Why not interview preparation skills? Why not other subject or other topic? Why especially career development? And then we'll move out to the opportunities. What are the opportunities available in the market, in the government sector as well as private sector? And then at the last we'll conclude what are the qualities and what are the things that are very essential in an
Shubham sir, I
individual
think
to
your voice is not
obtain
clear.
these or
Means
achieve
you're
these
not
goals.
clearly audible.
Hello, is it audible now?
Yeah. But in between the conversation, it is going so soft, or it is going so slow.
Hello,
Hello.
is it fine now?
Yeah, it is fine now, but when you start now, so in between it goes so soft.
Okay, I'll just keep my mic closer now. Yeah, so I'll just start with a little bit about me. So my full name is Shubham Bhavsa. I'm from Ujjain, Madhya Pradesh. I've done my schooling in TJC. Then after post 12th, I gave IPMAT to pursue BA plus MBA at IIM Indore. And side by side, I also did BCom from Delhi University. Hello.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. So side by side, I also did BCom from Delhi University. Then I had a very keen interest in finance, so I pursued CFA level 1 certification, FRM level 1 certification. Post that, I started my first job at Crystal as a summer internship, where I was working in investment banking division. Then last year, I got my final placement in Next Time Business Consulting for valuations, mergers and acquisitions. And currently, I'm working in Treasury Department at ICICI, where we usually handles all the money of a large clients whose turnovers are more than 250 crores. So the purpose behind all this mentioning is I'll just take you through my journey. When I was in 10th class, I used to be a lot of like other people who are very free for related to their career decisions, related to their job goals or their any other goals which will take further them to the life purpose. And then after schooling, after 10th, I scored 64%. And then I realized, oh shit, I cannot do science or I cannot do any other subjects, and 64% is very low. Then in 12th, I realized that 64% happened and I cannot do anything about that. But what I can do is improve from now on. So post that, I decided to push myself more into learning other things, into learning my core subjects, into studying. And then I scored 90% in 12th and then 99.96 percentile for the entrance exam. And that changed my whole life because of putting efforts at that point of a time. I got so curated and so brilliant environment in my college that it flourished and led my life as well as my career through a different purpose and through a different point of time also. So why do we need a career? Ask few of you to give me answers apart from the 5 points mentioned in the slide. The five obvious thing is why we need career or good career development, or why we need to do, or why we need to develop a career, why we need success, why we need money. So I just request few of you to give me a point, anything that comes into your mind when you think of a career, when you think of a success in a future time. So can anyone give me 1 or 2 points?
Growth and success.
Absolutely. And
Money, knowledge,
just
and
don't
fame.
think. Right. That's what mentioned in the slide. What career means to you, that's what I'm asking. So these 5 points, money, success, knowledge, growth, and fame, are the most common things for which anyone would like to develop his or her career, right? But there can be some other things apart from this 5 points which can also lead to a interest or a purpose in one's life to develop his or her career. For me, it was initially not money, not success, not knowledge, not growth, not fame, but just to get stability. So that way, that can also be a reason in one or other life. And this career development is not limited to this 5 points. It's a very vast one who has developed a purpose for his or her life, and for that purpose, he or she develop his career. So, until and unless
Sir, sir, you are not clearly audible to me.
okay, sorry.
No.
So, until unless you fix one point in your life, whether you realize why you want to develop your career or why you want to pursue a particular job, then it won't be of interest to you for a longer period of time. You can't put an effort in one thing, realizing that I'll do uh, a particular job for money for 2 years, then I'll move to another job for success, then another job for knowledge. There should be one purpose in your life for a longer period of time on which you can put your attention and all your focus and all your hard work. So there is a basic statistics which says 78% of the people who are preparing for anything doesn't realize their potential. They don't realize their potential. Why? The reason is some of them doesn't know why they want to do it. As I mentioned in the last slide, until and unless you know what's your purpose, you won't be able to utilize your whole potential. You won't be able to put your hard work. अगर किसी को बोला जाए कि यार तुम साइंस पढ़ लो and he is interested in commerce, then he won't be able to put his 100% in that, right? The similar way, on an average, 78% of the people don't realize their potential because they might be running after something else which they are not interested in. They might be running after something else which they've been pressured to go in, like take science, take commerce, do engineering, do medical, be a doctor, be a pilot. And people don't also realize that what's the importance of a coach in their life. You cannot make a good football team or a basketball team or for say any other sports team without a coach. The purpose of coach is not just coaching, it's just for motivation, planning, organizing, and helping all the players or the athletes in execution as well. So the people who are preparing, or the students or the participants who are preparing for some exam or some job, they also need a coach. And here again I'll mention, the coach is not a coaching but a person in your life which defines your goal, which help you in defining your goal, which help you in planning your future, which help you in organizing your efforts, organizing your uh, discipline, organizing your qualities in one package so that you can put all your hard work 100% in that particular goal. And because of this lack of qualities that a person doesn't develop in him, 97% of the people who appear for exams or for jobs doesn't get a job, or doesn't clear the exams in their first attempt. So for example, let's say 5 lakh people wrote UPSC this year. How many of them became an IS? 180. There are 180 seats for IS. Why only 180 became? And it isn't like that 180 people who became an IS officer were writing their fifth attempt or sixth attempt. 50%, 70% of them cleared it in first attempt. So what other things that they did differently from the rest 40% who cleared in their fifth attempt? What's the difference between the person who cleared it in first attempt and what's the difference between the person who cleared it in fifth attempt? So these are
He's
the
a,
questions that we need to answer. Yeah, yeah.
the person who
Hello.
cleared in first attempt is having a keen interest to achieve that. That's why he cleared in first attempt.
Exactly. Absolutely right. That's why the whole purpose of mentioning this 78% figure to you, that until and unless you build your interest or you have an inherent interest in a particular field or a particular thing, it can be either money. You want a job for money, it's good, it's nothing bad. If you want a job for success, it's good. If you want a job for stability, growth, fame, anything is fine. But just fix it in your mind that you want a job or you want to develop a career for that particular point. So for you, I just uh, differentiated what are the benefits and what are the facilities available in government sector versus private sector. So what are the main points for which people choose government jobs, or why I chose private job? I'll tell you my analysis based on this framework only. So if you go for a government jobs are divided into three types: central, state, and then the third is banking and others. So for central jobs, you are working with the central government, and for straight jobs you have like SSC, MPPSC, and for banking you have all the public banks, and others include all the government institutions. Reservists private, anything except the central, state, banking, and others. Everything is private. It can be a big company, MNC, small Indian firm, or a MSME. MSME is medium size, and medium size micro
Enterprises.
entrepreneurs. Yeah, and then what's the salary parameter that you judge? Because anybody who decides to pursue a career in particular field is heavily dependent upon the salary parameter. So in government sector you will get an average salary, and in private sector you will get a high salary. So what average salary means? Average salary is basically the average salary of government and private. So in government sector you usually starts with a very basic salary of 50,000 per month, 40,000 per month, and in private sector you generally start with a good qualification you start with 70,000 or 80,000 per month. Then in government sector you'll get a high work life balance. It's like 9 बजे सुबह ऑफिस है 6 बजे जाना है, that's all. But in private sector it's not that thing. You might be asked to put a lot of efforts. You might be asked to report at 7 o'clock in the morning and asked to leave at 11 in the night. But this thing has been paid off by giving high salary to the employees, which government sector is not doing. In government sector you'll get more stability, and in private sector it's less stability. As you can all see, during this corona and this lockdown, a lot of people working in private sectors have lost their jobs, but in government sector they have a job security. Because of all these external calamities that come, government ensures that people doesn't lose their jobs. It is very positive factor which gives a high edge to government sector jobs. Government sector obviously have more benefits and leaves regarding your PF, provident fund, your travel plans, your insurances, while private sector has less benefits and leaves as compared to government sector. So based on this 5 points, I have assigned the ratings to for a person who wants to enter into government job or a private job. So for me, government job has a 9.5 out of 10 rating, and private sector is 8.5 out of 10 rating. Easily by 1 point, government sector is winning on all these parameters as compared to private jobs. So what are the jobs that a person should go for in government sector. So here I just included few of the major and most popular sectors or the departments that a person can prepare for to enter into government sector. Why only this is because the most minimum basic salary of the exams or the departments mentioned in this slide has a salary of 50,000. So I took that as a benchmark and prepared all the exams and uh, institutions that gives a basic salary of 50,000. So we'll start with UPSC. So UPSC you all will know, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah. So UPSC has been considered the most difficult exam in the world. I'm not talking about India only, in the world itself. There's one Harvard professor in public policy who once mentioned that a person who clears UPSC exam will walk like he's walking in a park at Harvard or MIT. And Harvard and MIT are the world's toughest institutions to get in. So that's the difficulty of that exam. Post UPSC, there comes RBI and SEBI. RBI is Reserve Bank of India, and SEBI is our stock market regulator, Securities and Exchange Board of India. Then there are banking and other government institutions exams like IBPS, LIC, FCI, Food Corporation of India, and other banking exams. Post that we have SSC, Railways, NABARD. So these are the government examinations which are two-edged swords. By two-edged swords, I mean they'll give high salary. Like if you can compare it to private sector, they are vis-a-vis comparable. Also, they are very prestigious in nature. So if you get selected at a, let's say, a lower level bank, then people will praise you like, okay, you got a government job. It's not that prestigious, but if you clear an IBPS or you clear an RBI or a SEBI grade A, grade B examination, which happens every year, then the prestige, the salary, the benefits that comes with these examinations are tremendous and are far more better than private sector as well. So I'll just tell you one instance. Last year, I was having a conversation with my friend when we were having our final placements in college. So everyone was sitting for a job. Companies were coming for interview and all. And few of my friends explored UPSC, RBI, and SEBI as an optional career option. So they got so involved and so impressed by this jobs and the department that they left the placements only. They left the jobs, everything, and started to preparing for UPSC, RBI, and SEBI. And it's very good to know that recently they've cleared UPSC also, they've cleared RBI also, and SEBI also. And now the benefits and the prestige that they tell me they get in these services is not comparable in any of the private sector in India. So that's the level of benefits and that's the level of satisfaction that you'll get from these jobs. But talking about just government sector is not fair because our country is running on private sector, not on government sector. So what this private sector does differently that government sector cannot. So in private sector you have a lot of different opportunities and different uh, what you say different plethora of career options that you can pursue. So either you can do your undergraduations in a particular field like management, or then you can enter into your post graduation MBA, MSc, MCom. You can write for aptitudes to get into good colleges, to get into good companies. Companies like Infosys, TCS, they don't now worry about undergraduation or post graduation. They just take your aptitude test, their skill test, and then they'll hire you. Then you can go for different recruitment certifications like I did CFA, FRM, and then there is a particular field that you are interested in. So I so private sector is all about business, government sector is all about service. In last slide we learned what are the services provided by different institutions, but in this slide it's all about business. Business is sales, marketing, finance, human resource, IT. So until and unless you decide what all interest you have, what all business pursue, or what all business
Ah,
interest you want to pursue. For me, like it was finance and marketing. So I went into finance and a little bit of marketing that I brush my skills every week, every month. I tried to build my skills into marketing also. So this is the scenario for private sector. the main point why we are learning on this PPT, or why I am taking this lecture on career development in government and private sector is, when I was at that point of your time, like at a point of time at which you are, I was very you say confused, or I was very dependent upon internet, or I wanted a person or a coach in my life, or a guidance from someone who can tell me that you can pursue BCom, or you can do MBA from IIM Indo, and then you can do a job at ICICI. But it took a lot of my time, my efforts, my hard work to explore, to identify, and to get this information. So I had to do identification of information. What are the exams, कहाँ से पढ़ना है, कौन से कोर्सेज करने हैं, कहाँ से कोचिंग करनी है, देन उसके बाद कैसे कोचिंग करनी है, कैसे पढ़ना है. आई वॉज वंडरिंग अगर मेरे लिए उस टाइम पे कोई होता. एंड सिमिलरली आई टॉक टू माई फ्रेंड्स ऑल्सो, जूनियर्स ऑल्सो, सीनियर ऑल्सो. Everyone has the same complaint ki if there would have been some guidance in their life, the things would be little easy. So that's the point of this presentation. I want you guys to just think, or to ponder upon yourself and think what you can do, what are the things that you can get this from PPT. This is one of the important PPT, that's why I put it very simple and in just 3 points. The first is digital learning habits. So can anyone from the participants tell me what is the digital learning habit is?
Sir, may I, sir?
Anything that comes into your mind.
Sir,
Haji.
learn skills from internet, using internet, new skills.
Exactly. So uh, there's also basic statistics which says still in India 92% of the people who study or prepare for any exams are preparing to physical books. See, preparing from physical book is not a bad thing, but उसकी accessibility, आपको जब पढ़ना हो तब नहीं पढ़ सकते, आपके हाथ में book होनी चाहिए. Price, the price that you have to pay for buying physical books is also high as compared to ebooks and all. And if you go to US and European countries, developed nations, only 12% of the people study there with physical books. So what does it mean? It means since now we have an access to technology, we have an access to all the platforms, all the things that we have now, we can leverage it for our own benefit. Download 100 books in your phone, you can read, but you cannot carry 100 books in your backpack, right? There is an internet, you can learn on internet anywhere at any time, for how much long, or for years, or for like decades. The information will be there and will not perish, but book cannot sustain that.